3 nuts for the squirrel. In a snowy forest, where the trees stood wrapped in white coats and the sun hid behind the clouds, lived a little squirrel. Her fur shimmered like fresh snow, and her curious eyes sparkled with wonder. One frosty morning, while searching for her stash, she noticed an old oak tree. There was a hollow hidden in a crack in its trunk. It looked empty, but when the squirrel peeked inside, she gasped in surprise. Deep within lay 3 nuts golden, like sunbeams lost in the forest. What a miracle! She whispered, gently touching one of the nuts. Suddenly, the wind rustled through the branches. These are not ordinary nuts, it whispered. Each one can grant a wish. But remember, little squirrel, true value lies in how you use them. The squirrel, enchanted by the magic, decided to take the nuts to her burrow. But her journey home turned into an extraordinary adventure. At the forest edge, amidst fluffy snow, she saw a little rabbit. His white fur blended with the snow, but his eyes were filled with worry. "What's wrong, little rabbit? Why do you look so troubled?" the squirrel asked. "I leave tracks," he replied quietly. "The fox always knows where to find me. I can't hide." The squirrel looked at his trembling paws, cold and fearful. Carefully, she took out the first nut. "This nut is for you. Let it make your tracks disappear as soon as you take a step." The golden nut glowed and burst into sparkling dust. The rabbit leapt into the snow, and no footprints were left behind. His eyes lit up with hope. "Thank you, squirrel. Now I can roam the forest without fear." The squirrel said goodbye to the rabbit and continued on her way among the snowy pines. She spotted a hedgehog shivering under a bush. Frost covered his spines. "Hedgehog, why aren't you in your nest?" the squirrel asked, puzzled. "My nest is buried under the snow," he sighed. "I can't reach it or find warmth." The squirrel thought for a moment. She knew the second nut could give the hedgehog a safe place to stay. "This nut is for you," she said, handing it to him. "May it create a cozy new nest for you." The nut shone, and beside the hedgehog appeared a warm nest covered in moss and leaves, shielding it from the cold and wind. The hedgehog dove into the nest and peeked out to thank the squirrel. Feeling happy that she had helped, the squirrel hopped on. Finally, the squirrel met a little bear cub wandering the snowy trails. His big paws left deep tracks in the snow. "Why are you out here alone, little bear?" she asked. "I'm lost," he replied softly. "My den is far away, and I can't find it. And I have no food left." The squirrel took out her last nut. She looked at it for a long time, knowing she'd have nothing left if she used it. But her heart told her the bear cub needed help more than she did. "This nut will lead you home," she said. The nut glowed, and before the bear, a path covered in golden light appeared, leading to his den. Beside it lay a stash of berries and honey. The bear hugged the squirrel with his warm paws. "Thank you, squirrel. I'll never forget your kindness." The squirrel returned to her oak tree, where there were no more nuts and no magic left. But her heart was filled with joy, knowing she had made the right choice. In place of the nuts, she now had something far greater: true friendship. That evening, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the bear all came to visit the squirrel. They brought her gifts: berries, dried mushrooms, and nuts. "You showed us that real magic isn't in the nuts but in kindness and friendship," said the bear. under the starry sky, they sat together for a long time, sharing stories and laughter. Their bond became stronger than any winter chill.